The international signing period is just around the corner. The Cardinals have brought in some outside reinforcements to help solidify the bullpen. We'll break all of that down and more in this edition of the Viva El Birdos podcast.
Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy.
Breeze hits it in the air to center. We will see you tomorrow night.
This is the Viva El Birdos podcast on SB Nation.
Welcome into another episode of the Viva El Birdos podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jake Wood. I am joined by former Independent League pitcher and writer Scott Plaza and writer Gabe Simons. Before we get started, just wanted to send out some well wishes to RJ Anderson of CBS Sports, who was supposed to join us this week. Unfortunately, he was hit with the super flu that's been going around. I've had it. I can honestly say it is 0 out of 10. Do not recommend. So thankfully to my ever-expanding Rolodex of baseball content creators, it is both vast and versatile. Today, we are joined by a special guest and one who is a rising star in the Cardinals content sphere. You can follow his show, Redbirds on the Arch, as well as his various social media accounts under the same handle, Redbird Farmhands. He is Tyler Gettinger. Tyler, welcome to Viva El Birdos. Thanks for pinch hitting for us tonight, man.
No problem. I'm not sure I'm as good as RJ, but I'll pinch hit here and hopefully we'll hit a home run.
Well,
so
you know
that's
what?
The plan.
Given the walk-up music that you chose, I would be, also inspired to hit a home run. That was quite magical and inspirational, and I really felt it in my bones. But let's start with this, Tyler. You cover the Cardinals international signings just about as anyone as I come across in the Cardinals content sphere. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the players the Cardinals will officially be signing on Thursday?
Yeah. So the international period obviously starts on Thursday. I think it starts officially at 8 a.m. or something officially like that. But I think the head of the class and everybody's this is the guy we've coined as the Dominican Aaron Judge, and that's Emmanuel Luna. I mean, number 8 on Pipeline's top 50 list and number 10 on Baseball Americas, and he's expected to get over a $2 million signing bonus. So you can obviously see this guy's extremely talented. He's a center fielder. He's got the range. He's got the arm for the position. But the hitting tools, like what really stands out with him, plus power. He's already hit balls over 110 miles an hour at 16 years old. He makes good contact. He makes good swing decisions according to scouts. Now they say our 16-year-olds, so we have to take everything with a little bit of grain of salt when we're looking at these scouting reports. But you watch his motion and the way he hits, it's fluid, big size. So it's like, there's not much to not like about a guy at 16 when you look at the build and you look at everything around what scouts are saying and stuff.
No, that's when you're looking at the international signing period, it's always interesting to me when hitting is such a tough tool to evaluate, especially then I think when you're looking at 16-year-olds and trying to figure out the competition that they're facing. And I think this at that age, the pitchers are much easier to project when you're looking at size or you're looking at stuff. So have you realized how either successful or if there's some common theme in how hitters are evaluated at such an interesting time?
It's a lottery, right? You never know what you're going to get. You just hopefully get as many as talented guys as you can get and hopefully 1 or 2 stick. Obviously, but the thing I'm looking at when I'm evaluating or when I'm looking at videos of these guys, and there's usually not much on most of these guys, I have about 12 guys that I've seen signing with the Cardinals here starting on Thursday. And I would say each of them have 3 or 4 videos of their talent over the last 2 or 3 years, at most. Luna's obviously got the most, but you get down lower on the list and a guy might only have 1 or 2 videos to watch, based off of, but what I'm looking for is I'm obviously looking for size. I think that's one thing you can project. And then the other thing would be fluidity of motion, both in pitching and in hitting. Is the guy's swing clunky? Is it smooth? That's kind of the 2 things I would look for when I'm evaluating these international guys on the very limited video I have.
You talked about Emmanuel Luna. You've talked about Emmanuel Luna and his the Dominican Aaron Judge. What was the one that they gave to Raynel Rodriguez? What was he? The Dominican what?
Mike Piazza.
The Dominican Mike Piazza.
Yes. Yes. So those are high praises for, two guys who are still teenagers. So we'll see if they live up to the billing. And if they do, wow, Cardinals fans are in for a treat. That's for sure.
And no kidding. And like so as Cardinal fans have been critical of, the previous Cardinals regime and their lack of really investing into the international market, right? So they may have gone after certain players that they felt were relatively signable, but they didn't go after the top of the class and really make those big investments. The last one they did was
Mejia.
Jeremy
Jonathan
Rivas.
Mejia.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
No, Jonathan Mejia was given
that's
a
right.
$2+ million signing bonus, and Luna will be the first one since he was, which would have been 2019, 2021, 2020, somewhere in that range. They gave Mejia that bonus. So, besides him, Luna will be the first 2 million plus, and I think Luna is on schedule to probably be higher than Mejia in terms of that signing bonus. So the Cardinals are making use of that $8 million pool that they have, which is the largest in the majors up there. I think it's the Giants and a couple other teams have a really large pool, but the Cardinals are tied for the largest pool this time around. So Cardinals will put good use to that for sure.
Outside of Luna, is there another prospect that is scheduled to sign on Thursday that you find most particularly interesting?
Well, I have a few here, and I think this year is going to end up being the year of the outfielder. Luna's obviously an outfielder. They got Christopher Vargas, who's an outfielder out of Venezuela. He's known for his power hitting as well. He's also, I would say, even more than Luna, he's probably going to be a center fielder. His academy, I don't know how much these academies all have their independent rankings of, and Venezuela's got their own independent rankings of the prospects, but they had him as the number 8 outfield prospect in Venezuela for their 2026 class back in 2024. So obviously a lot of things can change in 2 years, but he was very highly rated coming out of Venezuela just a couple of years ago. So he'll be interesting to watch. That's Christopher Vargas. And then one guy that's really got my eye, he went down to Brazil. He's from the Dominican, and he trained at TPA Academy, which is an academy that 2 of our signings, and I'll mention the other one here in a second after this one, is John Frangaton. And you look at this guy, I'll post him on Thursday when they officially sign him, but he looks like an LA De La Cruz or an O'Neal Cruz. He's really tall. He's really lengthy. He's got really good power. He's more of an corner outfield guy, or maybe a third base, but you just look at the profile and the, how tall he is and the lengths of the limbs. And it's this guy could be something pretty special. So those are 2 outfielders that I'm watching. And then the Cardinals stole a prospect from the Padres here. The Padres are expected to give Carlos Antonio, who's another guy from TPA Academy, along there with John Frangaton. Carlos Antonio, they stole him from the Padres. Padres are going to give him $300,000 signing bonus. So I'm assuming the Cardinals will give him more. So he'll likely be the number 2 in terms of signing bonus in the Cardinals class this year. And he was getting comps by his director of the academy to Philan Celestian, who is the Mariners number 8 prospect and is a 50 grade. So I mean, that shows you that's high praise from a academy director. Now obviously academy director might pump his guys up a little bit more, but he'll be interesting to watch here in the DSL come the summer.
Yeah, for sure. And it's obviously, like you said, these are all lottery ticket pieces, right? So there's never any type of guarantee to them, but you look around baseball and you look at the Ronald Acuna Juniors and the Fernando Tatis Juniors and, Luis Robert and all of these guys that are international influence. And you sit there and say, for the Cardinals, at least, for the longest time, they weren't picking in the top 10 of the draft. And so that would have been a really obvious way to, infuse some really good young amateur talent into your system. And the Cardinals just seemed to be so hesitant to do so for the longest time. And whether that was, directed from the top down or however they were thinking about it, it's just really refreshing to see them attack as many angles as possible to really bring in as much young, up and coming, high upside talent that they're investing and putting into the system now going forward. So there's a lot on that side that we'll continue to monitor. And of course, I'll make sure to throw out Tyler's handles again. So that way, if you want to go on social media, Tyler will be on top of all of it Thursday and basically anytime there's any type of Cardinals news related to the international signing period that comes out. We will move forward from that, though, into some of the more recent news. The Cardinals acquired left-handed pitcher Justin Bruihl from the Cleveland Guardians for cash considerations and designated right-handed pitcher Zach Kent for assignment, and then was subsequently claimed by the Texas Rangers was Kent. So Zach Kent, barely knew you. Justin Bruihl had some ugly numbers last season, but he has some interesting pitching traits, in my opinion, as evidenced by 4 teams acquiring him over the last 2 seasons. So clearly other teams see something in him. He doesn't throw particularly hard, but the sinker misses barrels. His sweeper is a real swing and miss offering against lefties. To me, in my evaluation, it's that bridge cutter that he has to really get figured out. That third pitch is really lacking. And I think that will take his game to the next level if he's able to find something with that. I was someone who was kind of down on like John King, but I think that Bruihl is a better version of what John King was. I'll ask all 3 of you kind of what were your opinions on the acquisition of Justin Bruihl. Tyler, I'll start with you.
As you said, it's a John King replacement, right? The thing that really stands out to me is he gets like over 3 feet of separation between the sinker and the slider, the sweeper, in terms of the horizontal break. And I think obviously the sweeper is really good. The sinker's been really good at obviously limiting hard contact. So I think he's an interesting arm. He dropped down his arm angle this last year, which I feel like helped the stuff tick up, even if the results didn't tick up. And you look throughout his minor league career, and even though the ERA has been bad, you look at the underlying numbers and the expected ERA, and it's always kind of been in that 3.9 to 4 range. Some years has been more in that 3.5 range. So I think this is a guy who, if you just give him a full year of run, I think it's going to all standardize down to like a 4 ERA, probably more than likely.
Yeah. I don't know if it's accurate to say he's a better John King, but he's a John King with potential. That's how I'd phrase it, because King was solid and Bruihl is really unproven, but he does do the one thing that John King does, which is get ground balls. He also doesn't strike people out, but he does strike out more than John King. And I think he has good control, but not like elite control. I'm optimistic a little bit, because you said his numbers weren't very pretty last year, but he did strike out 27% of guys, which he'd never done before. The first time I would look at his stats and think, oh, there might be a major league pitcher here, because before that he just could not strike anybody out. And I wouldn't expect him to strike out a lot of guys next year, though, because his whiff rate and his chase rate were not very good. And it's kind of hard to strike people out if you don't have either of those things. But if he can get to like close to 20% and have a 50 to 60% ground ball rate, I think you have a pretty effective left-handed option out of the bullpen. So I like the pickup. I'm a fan.
Yeah, so like when I was referencing the ugly numbers, and obviously it was a relatively small sample size, but it was the 5.97 ERA that, so many fans tend to, hyper focus on. And I get that from our, from where we sit and as content creators sphere that, we're supposed to like present beyond just the surface level numbers. So that's kind of what I was referencing. And I was giving you guys the opportunity to kind of mine that a little bit and dig deeper. So Scott, your thoughts on the Justin Bruihl addition?
See Jake Wood's article from this past week in Viva Alberto.
Thank you.
He did great job. Didn't summarize, went further into the numbers, kind of like you guys are saying. There's stuff that surface level could be there, but then the numbers don't back it up. But I thought Jakey did a good job doing that. So make sure you check that out.
That was the nicest thing you've ever said to me on this podcast. I appreciate that. You know what? Somebody go listen to Cardinals on my time. I'll throw that out there. How about that? All right.
What a guy.
And go ahead.
Recent podcast there with Aiden Gray, my co-host.
Yeah, so
go check that out.
We're tying it all together. Cardinals on my time. That is Scott Plaza's personal podcast that he started and he hosts as well. Scott is a jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing. So he's on a lot of shows, and very graciously he graces us with his presence on this show as well. So we are thankful for Scott's inclusion. But enough of Scott glazing. The other addition that has not been made official yet by the Cardinals, but was reported, the Cardinals are signing right-handed pitcher Ryne Stanek to a 1-year, $3.5 million deal with a $6 million club option for 2027. I believe that was Jeff Passan, who reported that. I could be wrong on that. If somebody could look that up for me real quickly.
Robert Murray had it first.
Thank you. Stanek throws a high-octane fastball that routinely sits in the high 90s, and he pairs that with a slider and a splitter that acts as his off-speed offering. This would fill that veteran righty role in the bullpen, and Stanek has so much versatility. He's done everything from opening to closing games in his time. From, when he started with the Rays, and that's kind of where the opener stuff kind of, started, to his time with Houston and with Minnesota / New York. He's had a lot of stops, pitched in a lot of different places. He will be an excellent resource for all the young pitching that, is at the big league level or coming up to the big league level, all those young relievers out there. You guys have any other thoughts on the Stanek situate, like the announced deal? Do you guys think that it was the right veteran option to sign, or do you think that there was another option available you would have preferred to see? Gabe, I'll let you start there.
Yeah, well, I'll be the wet blanket here. I didn't really like the signing, I'll be honest.
Whoa!
This is like the first move I don't really like that Bloom made. In his last 3 seasons, he threw 162 innings. He has a 4.78 ERA, 4.37 FIP, 4.73 xFIP. He's 34 years old. He's pitched for the Astros, the Mariners, and the Mets, 3 organizations that are very good about maximizing a pitcher's value. I don't see potential here. I don't see a future trade return. I'm sure he won't be like embarrassingly bad, but I don't think he's that good. I know his stuff is good, but like I'm always a results over stuff guy, especially in the sample size of the last 3 years. So I don't have a name for you who I'd rather get, but I would prefer somebody who I could look at and be like, I see something here. And I honestly don't. He doesn't really get ground balls, which might be okay in Busch Stadium. So he does have that going for him, but he walks so many guys and he doesn't get ground balls. And his strikeout rate, at least last year, wasn't particularly good, which is why he had a 5.30 ERA and not very good advanced stats. So yeah, I just don't really like the move. I'll be honest.
Well, I'll jump in on that and then kind of be the complete opposite side, to where I think this is a great signing, and I actually think that the club option makes it even better, being total $9.5 million over 2 years. He's got that high octane fastball, like Jake said, and by having that versatile role, and with the question marks in the Cardinals bullpen, I think he is that perfect veteran. He has that kind of Riley O'Brien that maybe that's my own fault, that I kind of love that high octane stuff, but maybe he doesn't know where it's going. But I think that's the fun potential. And if this year maybe Stanek needs to sub in a couple of different times because of Swanson's role as a closer, or JoJo's still here or something like that, and then he rebuilds that value into next year, I think he just provides you a lot of that versatility to have that where he's throwing 99 miles an hour, that he's going to be attractive to people this year. But even if the asking price isn't met this year, next year they still have that potential to flip him again. I think it's a good move.
Tyler, your thoughts on Stanek?
What if I said I was between the two of Gabe and Scott here on this?
Oh
move?
No, that makes me the tiebreaker across the board. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, I think when you look at the potential, like Scott said, the 98 mile an hour fastball, he's got a couple good breaking balls that he can kind of work, but like Gabe said, like the guy can't really find the zone that much. So I do wonder if they maybe could have got him on maybe a minor league contract versus a major league contract and made him earn a spot, in spring training. But yeah, I think it's a solid risk move for what the Cardinals need. And I think we all kind of saw a move like this coming. He's really durable. I think he's actually pitched, over 55 innings every single full season of his career, besides his rookie season, which he only came up for like 21 innings. So he's really durable. I mean, obviously the stuff's really good, and that's going to continue to get him contracts. But I do wonder if we could have maybe got him on a minor league deal. And one guy that I'll throw out a name there I like that actually signed with the Reds today, and that was Pierce Johnson. He's been really good the last 3 seasons. I kind of, he's not nearly as high octane as, a guy like Stanek is, but he's got more consistent results. 3.05 ERA this past season, and then 3.67 and 4.02 the 2 years before that. So Pierce Johnson would have been a name that I would have, maybe circled more than Ryne Stanek, but I'm fine with Stanek. I think he'll be solid. I just don't think he's going to be anywhere near that Phil Maton or Andrew Kittredge these last 2 years that we've had.
And that was the point that I was going to, bring up, is the Cardinals have done this over the last couple of years, and they've brought in that veteran right-handed relief option that they could, install into that seventh, eighth inning role, and just kind of let him go out and do his thing without the pressure of having to pitch in the ninth. And they wind up doing better than expected. And in Maton's case, they flipped him and got a couple interesting a couple interesting pitching prospects in return. With Kittredge, they wrote it out through the entire season. You definitely could have seen the reasoning behind, if they wanted to trade him at the deadline, it would have made sense. The Cardinals chose to, push in and try to go. And then we got Eric Fetty, and that was fun. But anyway, so thoughts for me, I like the idea of Stanek. I like that he can pitch in multiple roles. I like that, he's got the big fastball, and obviously he's got other things that can kind of play off of that to both sides of the plate. I think that there is room for, obviously there's room for growth there, because like some of the numbers that Gabe had mentioned, those don't overwhelm you. Those aren't wowing, but again, he has the ingredients to be something more than what he has shown recently. And so that's why I get that at 34, you would say that he's probably closer to on age-related decline than he is to, but we also see some players, some pitchers in their mid-30s have random bounce back years. Not saying that that's going to happen, but it is within the realm of possibility. So I like the idea. Again, I'm just going to go back to the versatility part, and the way that the Cardinals or Ollie, and just having different options at different times throughout the game to kind of mix and match and do different things. And obviously Stanek can pitch in so many different scenarios, and I think that's a really fun chess piece for him to have going into 2026. But of it all, I think that Rafael Montero is the one name that to me stood out a little bit further as like the guy that I would have, if I would have preferred someone else. I did write about Rafael Montero as well as Ryne Stanek in one of my other articles I did just before Christmas. And the fact that the Cardinals signed Ryne Stanek, I do feel vindicated in that. And after also, selecting Matt Pushard, your boy is having an awesome offseason and predicting some of the Cardinals things that they're going to do. So just, shout out to me doing things out here, throwing darts at the board and managing to hit the bullseye every once in a while is really cool. Anyway, enough pumping myself up. I like to finish the thought. I like Stanek. I like the idea of what he can do. I like that he can pitch in multiple roles. I like that the Cardinals are looking at things and giving players who have creative capabilities a creative opportunity to fulfill those roles and perhaps show value to prospective teams at the deadline who might be looking for someone who can pitch a variety of roles. We always, pitchers get injured. They need help. Ryne Stanek is a veteran who's pitched in many different ways and in many different roles, many different cities, many different opportunities. So I just think that he's a piece that could fit in so many different situations should he take advantage of this opportunity going into next season. Boys, I just rambled for a long enough amount of time. Is there any other topics or anything interesting that's happening over the next week or so that you find that you want to discuss?
Do we want to go into the TV stuff?
Hey, okay, great. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, let's do that. Let's talk about that. So the Cardinals, it was reported, and we'll keep this relatively brief. The Cardinals in their RSN situation is now back in question again. Who is it? Diamond Sports Group, who became Main Street Sports. did not pay the Cardinals last month did not make their payment to the Cardinals last month. And now they, along with 8 other major league teams, have voided their contracts with Main Street Sports Group and are now in a place where they can either renegotiate their deal with Main Street Sports so that the games can continue to be on FanDuel Sports, or they can just simply hand their rights over to MLB and allow MLB to broadcast their games for them. Similar to the way the Padres and the Twins and a couple other teams have decided to do that. Is it just me, or is it just Groundhog Day with this situation? It's just reliving this over and over again until inevitably everybody who isn't like the Yankees, the Cubs, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the teams that have their own private sports networks, like all just fall to the wayside. Is it just this? Like, where are we headed with this? Scott, I'll let you start.
I don't know where we're headed. I'm hoping that someday there will be a true MLB network where we can purchase one subscription and receive every single game that we want without any blackouts. And if that's not the case, I want national broadcasts to be covered by the local broadcasters. I'm glad ESPN is no longer the provider, because it felt like it got to the point of just trying to find the clickable moments or like the recent dramas or something that the announcers were just trying to fill in because they don't know anything else about the team. So I want that if national broadcasts are to continue, that we have Chip and Boog for a Cubs Cardinals game. I think the fans deserve the local broadcasters who can actually speak to the team if they're trying to explain the news to the team of people that don't truly follow them every day.
Gabe, go ahead and throw your thoughts on there next.
I'm fairly confident, I guess, that they will have the local broadcasters in some form somewhere. I don't know if they did this for like the Diamondbacks, because I know a similar thing happened to them last year, but I wonder if it'll be on MLB TV without blackouts for Cardinals fans if you buy it. For example, I guess it depends on if they land on like an actual network of some sort for all 162. Hopefully, for my sake, T-Mobile continues to provide free MLB TV, and that doesn't have blackouts, because then that'd be really good.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that's the case, at the very least. But I mean, there's a market out there somewhere. They should be able to find somebody within the next 3 months. The question really for me is just how much do I have to pay to watch the Cardinals? Hopefully nothing extra. But there should be games, and if you have to pay extra, I would be a little worried about viewership, because I know if you're not going to games, I don't know if you're going to pay a little bit extra to watch the Cardinals at this point until they turn things around. So that could be a problem as well.
That's a fair point. Tyler, give your thoughts.
As free as possible so that you could get more people watching the Cardinals and then seeing the exciting prospects coming up, honestly. But I don't know. They haven't always done things that are for the best interest of the future.
Well, the MILB package, if you just wanted to purchase just that, is like $7.99 a month. So it's far more like affordable than like MLB TV, which I think is like $30 or $40 a month, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Like it's substantially more, but obviously you get the major league product and whatever's not blacked out. Tyler, your thoughts? I'm sorry.
Well, first off, I'm an MLB TV subscriber. I don't remember how much it is a month, but because I'm in Atlanta, I can watch without any blackouts with the Cardinals, which is nice. So it won't really affect me, but the way I'll take it from a different angle, and I'm taking it from the Cardinals revenue angle. And I think the Cardinals, if they end up going to MLB TV, which it sounds like they will, it sounds like they are, because I don't know if you guys heard Katie Woo was on Gas House Gang, I think, and she said it was very likely the Cardinals go to MLB TV. And I think I was doing some research on the Padres. Their deal was $60 million a year with Diamond Sports Group in 2023. And I saw their president was in an article for the Sports Business Journal in October this year, and he said their local media revenue was 20 to 30 million. So they basically dropped half or more with the switch from Diamond Sports Group Valley to this MLB TV. And I'm just interested to see how that affects the Cardinals and how that affects their spending. And we've already kind of seen a little bit outfall with that, with Willis Contreras and Sonny Gray getting off the books. I think it's a very interesting time to see what happens in that space and how the Cardinals are going to adjust and manage this new TV RSN stuff.
Well, Tyler, you said it best. It's a very interesting time for not only Cardinals fans, but baseball fans in general, as we will talk much more later in the year about, impending CBA problems, negotiations. Scott, I hope you have lots of content prepared because we're going to need some good lockout theater, and I'm expecting you to come through big time on that.
Lockout theater, huh? How do you figure that?
Well, you're the resident entertainer in the group, so I kind of figured that you would be able to, do something to keep us smiling and happy and overjoyed during that difficult and frustrating, mind-numbing, hair-pulling, for those of you who have hair still, that type of time. So that's kind of what I was. We'll talk about it more, down the road. But that'll do it for this episode. Next week, we will bring you all the sights and sounds of winter warm-up as the Cardinals kick off their unofficial 2026 season. I will be there. Gabe will be there. Scott will be there. We think maybe Doc will be there. Viva Albertos will be there at winter warm-up in full force. Thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you all next week. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Viva Albertos podcast. Please leave a rate and review on your favorite platform and turn on those bell notifications so you can be notified the moment our newest episode is released. As always, make sure to give us a follow on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Facebook. Just type in Via Albertos on any platform to find us. Have a great day and thanks for listening.